Starting now, this is Real People. Real issues. Real news. Real people.
I'm Stephanie Allensworth, and this is Real People.
This is Real People.
Hi, welcome to Real People. I'm Stephanie Allensworth. Today I'm back with Rocket's Redglare, and we are talking some serious stuff today. We are talking the 5th generation of Wi-Fi and why you should know what's going on with this. Okay, so Rockets, let's talk.
Well, hello, Stephanie, and I want to thank you so much for giving a voice to the issues associated with our health and our relationship with nature, and the problems that we're having now with our communication and wireless technologies, the cell phone towers we already have. Even before we start thinking about 5G, which is a step into a different level mix, that we haven't ever naturally lived in before because it's not natural frequencies.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, the people are not well informed about where we're at right now, and we need to be. We need to be.
Right.
You know, since I'm very much a nature child, and so I saw when the insects started falling off. I smelled the mold when the first cell towers went up, and so I have never had a cell phone. I've only used one twice, and I don't even like to hold them because I really love nature. You know, I really do. The bees and the birds, they're my brothers and sisters, and I'm committed to them. So I knew when I was aware of this, you know, quite a while ago, it would take a while before it would come out into the mainstream knowledge. You know, so here we are.
But not even,
here we
right?
are.
It's being suppressed. It's being suppressed.
Yes,
even...
and you know, one of the best resources for information about this is electricsense.com. Lloyd Burrell, very passionate, began interviewing experts around the world, and I started listening to him from the get-go, which was probably 6 years ago, and just really studying it all this time with him. He interviews the top scientists, you know, the engineers, and people who know what's going on with these frequencies. And many Americans would be surprised to know that we have 28,000 studies that have proven, you know, studies worldwide that have proven these frequencies are harmful to the full spectrum of life, you know, not just us, you know, but all of nature, including the trees, the flora, and the fauna.
Exactly, exactly. And would you do a little bit deeper dive into what exactly is happening? Because I have heard so many people say, oh, cell phones can't make you sick, and it's just radio frequency, and radio frequency is not a big deal, and it's just that they're uninformed, and they're
Right.
I don't know that people that are saying, oh, that can't hurt you, are really doing their investigative work.
Well, there's that, Stephanie, and then there's also that it's even being taught in the universities that non-ionizing radiation is not harmful, and we know that's not true.
Right.
Ionizing, non-ionizing, across the board, it's all harmful to life and causing us a lot of problems by now that we're just starting to become cognizant of as a society. But it's already gone downhill pretty far by now. Dr. Girish Kumar is the world's leading authority on cell towers, and he's in Mumbai, India. He's developed his own technologies to measure and study these frequencies. He has a very brilliant daughter in school here in the United States, and he has shown, you know, that the sparrows are gone in the cities of India because of the electromagnetic radiation.
Wow.
The sparrows are gone. In India, they've been allowed to have stronger frequencies with their cell towers than we have here in the United States, except maybe out in some of our rural areas. And so because of this, some of the effects are clearer in India than they are here, in terms of the infertility among the population, in terms of people going deaf on one side of the head where they hold the cell phone. There's a number of issues because India is very densely populated and everybody has a smartphone, and so you can imagine that's just cooking that much stronger.
Right.
You know, and so now we're beginning to see objectively the results of the way we've been living before we even get to 5G.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about the human aspect of this. I mean, all things being energy, correct? But we
Yes.
are native energy. We
Electric.
are native
We're
to the
electric.
earth. We're
Yes.
electric energy.
Yes.
We're native to the earth. And these non-native signals are really what the issue is, correct?
We're coming to realize more and more, Stephanie, how beautifully we are designed to live on Earth. You know, the astronauts are coming back from space with really big problems that take them, you know, a year or more to recover from because we don't do well outside of gravity.
Right, bone density
And-
issues, right?
Oh, so many. That's a whole nother topic. But you see, our bodies are designed to clear and reset and retune with the native electromagnetic frequencies of the earth, you know, which are low and comforting and soothing. And, you know, since I've always perceived that difference, you know, I didn't feel at home in my own home until I got something that helped to heal the situation in my home. And so what's happening is half the population isn't sleeping well anymore, and sleeping well means going into the deeper states of sleep, you know, the delta, the theta and the delta, which is essential to healing the body.
Right.
And so we're suffering from a great inability to naturally heal our own bodies that were so beautifully designed to heal themselves in the Earth's electromagnetic frequencies, to recharge, to clear, you know, and to regenerate. And so what we're finding is if we're not getting that sleep, which clears the head, the cerebral spinal fluid, when we're in those deep states of sleep, clears the head, well, then we're not getting our heads cleared anymore. We're becoming more nervously stressed, distressed, depressed, you know.
Suicidal.
Oh, yes, and we don't even realize. We don't even realize that we're not able to heal properly because we can't sleep properly because we have too much going on in our living spaces, and we've increased the radiation that we're living in exponentially in a short period of time. Really. And with 5G, the big plan, the big vision is to increase the radiation we're living with now up to 20 more times, which is frankly insane.
It's lethal.
Yeah,
basically,
absolutely.
it's lethal.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because after I met you and we started talking about this, I did my research. It's lethal.
Yes.
They say, and I won't be able to remember the stats right now, and hopefully, I know you have some information we'll be sharing, but the levels are so low that we should be working with, and these things are right off the charts.
They are very, very unnatural, and there's a number of reasons we should be very concerned about this. For one thing, they mix with the natural frequencies of the earth, and they modify that into something else. You know, so that's a problem that the scientists really know nothing about.
Right.
Now, very few people know anything about 5G. You know, I've been studying this so hard and intensively for the last few years, you know, so I've been ferreting out who knows anything about this. And one of the best is Paweł Wipachowski. Paweł, I'll put something up on my website so people can find him. He's a Polish engineer and scientist, and he's way ahead of most people in understanding how these are going to affect the body and interfere, you know, with the intracellular signaling. That's our body's own fiber optic cable system of communication within.
That is a great way of putting it, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And this is why we have 25% of our girls, American girls 12 years old, who have antibodies to their own immune system. Why is that? It's because the body's becoming confused about its own identity. You know, what am I and what's me and what's not me? And because of these artificial frequencies coming in and throwing off the reset, the clarity, the comfort of the earth, and then scrambling the intracellular signaling, we are going, even if we didn't change this at all from today going forward, we're going to have a lot of problems already, especially with our youth. How many times do you drive past a school and you see a cell tower right there radiating the youth? It's just horrendous.
And everybody's got laptops in the school now, But I have been seeing some countries, some cities, some states that are starting to fight the good fight.
Coming to terms.
And saying, hey, maybe it's not such a good idea to have cell towers on your building. There's a study about firemen, these firemen that had the cell that was put on their building, and all of a sudden these guys,
it brain damaged them.
They didn't know what to do. They didn't even know how to respond to a fire, and that was the only thing that was different.
Yeah, there's brain scans showing that they were brain damaged. And even now, what's good is when they got out of there, that they were able to recover when they got away from that. But
it took a long time.
These are by our schools. Israel is one country that they got the wireless out of the schools because of Daphne Tackover, attorney Daphne Tackover. She was here, she gave a talk, and I really engaged with her. She's amazing. And she is from Israel, and she got the wireless out of the schools in Israel. So the consciousness is rising around the world. People are starting to say, hey, what's going on here? And according to Daphne, we have, 50% of the population is already unwell. From these frequencies, and just don't know it because there's so many symptoms, there's so many problems, from not sleeping, to dementia, to inability to digest food, to carbohydrates not being processed properly, so people are getting more obese. Just from being in these frequencies. There's just so many problems.
But they seem to get blamed on everything else. Anything except EMFs.
Right.
So maybe it's because they want to create a pill for that, or here, take this pill, this pill, this pill, and you won't have to worry about it. Well, at least you won't care, I guess.
Well, we know that there's active resistance to the public becoming informed about this, but honestly, I'd have to say I have some passionate hopes about 5G. I do. First of all, it could unite us. Look how politically divided we've become in the last decade or whatever. But the 5G issue, it's affecting all of us, and nature, and our trees, and our pets, and our pets, and everything.
The big plan is to make the whole planet 5G, right? And then what's after that? I mean, well, there's no more planet.
20,000 satellites beaming radiation down to and generating $11 trillion of commercial income by 2025. That's the big plan on your data, on your personal data.
Follow the money. Always follow the money. And the big plan is to be in everybody's head, I guess.
And have everything you do plugged in for analysis and sale.
Yes, exactly. For making more money and
monitoring.
More money. But I mean, you can only do so much. They're handing babies laptops. They're handing babies cell phones. It's here, play with the phone, and
even diaper sensors. Which is terrible. There are diaper sensors now that tell you when your baby's diaper's wet. Now, we know that we have natural senses about these things.
I would think so.
And this is an issue. We have natural senses. And all of these, they're hoping to be able to sell us a whole bunch of junk. And the designed obsolescence will be going full steam with this. And then we'd have to buy new everything, keep buying new things, and start relying on it and losing our own natural senses. This is what I see. We've got to stop that.
Yes. One of my friends had said something pretty interesting to me about this, and it was way before I even knew anything about this, but he was saying, with the advent of cell phones and everybody taking pictures with their cell phones, you can take pictures of everything and movies of everything. You can watch somebody, commit suicide from the top of a building and make sure your phone's up there getting it on the camera. Right. But the really interesting part that he said about this is it's interfering, and he doesn't know anything about this either. I mean, this other piece of it, but he said he feels like it interferes with your memory, that you can't remember a picture in your head. You have to rely on the picture that you took on your phone in order to recall that. And that was so well before I knew anything about this myself. And now I think about that and think, wow, that was a pretty fair statement to make, because we will get dumbed down further and further and further.
Yes.
Dumber, sicker.
And the critical thinking processes just fall off,
Yeah. I mean, I stammer enough as it is. I don't need any more. So, and at my house, you know, I bought the EMF detector.
Yes, you did.
I did.
Yes, you did.
And I went around and I tested everything and my laptop. And, you know, they say, oh, well, but this is normal in the center of your house. It's like, I don't live in the center of my house.
Right.
And the closer I get to the walls and the windows, the higher all the EMFs go.
Right,
because that's where all the wiring is. And that's where the stuff comes in from the street light. It's coming in the street light from the LED street light they put in my driveway. Thank you very little.
Right.
And I was so surprised to find out how much was coming off the coffee pot, how much was coming off the refrigerator, how much was coming off my telephone lines, just the line itself.
Oh, yes.
Just so
Not to
shocked.
mention the Fitbit and the
you'll never see me wear
Apple
one of those.
Watch and on the body. You know, having these things on the body is really, really asking for trouble down the road.
Yeah, and you know, how many girls have stuffed their phone inside their bra because they didn't have a pocket or something? It's like, please don't do that.
And then they get cancer in the area where the phone has been carried.
Yeah.
And with the men, your fertility, guard your fertility. If you're keeping your cell phone in your pocket, it's cut at least 50%.
Yeah.
Just from that.
Wow.
It breaks DNA, it breaks the brain-blood barrier. It's very serious.
And not just humans, birds. I saw that study about all the birds that were dying, and I don't remember where it was. You might recall, but they had a huge tropical birds that they installed the tower, and all these birds started dying. The bees. Look at what's happening to our population of bees.
They're almost critically endangered by now.
Yeah, ants and anything that our nature survives on. We're eliminating these things slowly, and we're not even aware of it.
The finely tuned creatures, the fine sense creatures. I never see a bird on a cell phone tower. I knew somebody who used to design them, and he quit when he saw a ring of dead birds around the towers he was designing. He quit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's taking the birds out. Also, the birds rely on the electromagnetic field of the earth for their migration. You know, all of the creatures are attuned to the earth. We have no idea how we're disrupting and distorting the frequencies that we're living in with this technology.
Well, here is another good example that I didn't read anywhere. It just kind of came to me when the whales and the dolphins start to beach themselves.
Oh yes.
It just screams underwater testing with these waves and the sonic
sonar,
booms and weapons that they've actually created underwater that they're using in testing. And how much nuclear testing do they do underground? I mean, this is so ridiculous that we don't think that that's going to have any harm to the planet.
Right.
I mean, how can you? Well, it's okay. It's in a silo 3 miles down. It's like. And you're setting off nuclear bombs down there. Okay, well, you're still aware that's our planet down there, right?
Yes.
And there's all kinds of things that still live in that soil and live in the water, and it disrupts all of their natural electromagnetic sensoring, like bats. Bats live on sonar, right? They find their way on sonar by sending out the signals. Same thing with dolphins, same thing with whales. They all do that.
We're being extremely self-centered if we're only going to think about our ease and comfort and forget about nature. Then we're just pushing nature toward collapse, and it's going to just take us out.
Well, anybody that's taken Ecology 101 should know that we are on a finely tuned system here. The ecosystem is or interdependent on everything, even the worms, the ants, everything. We can't. If you got rid of the ants and the worms, we would all die because there would be no food. I mean, you couldn't make it unless they're making it in the laboratory.
Soil is now, just for our well-being, for not being depressed, to have our hands and all these things. See, we tend to have overlooked and devalued nature, for our own ideas, and that just never works out.
So let's go a little deeper into the 5G and what other issues come along with that, like the shortness of the wavelength, and what they were going to have to do to make that even work, right?
Well, and part of that is the trees. Now, nobody in the industry is going to come out and say anything about that because it would upset the people too much. But when you see the telecommunication companies or Pacific Gas and Electric in California or something taking down the trees, sometimes on the whole boulevard, cutting them all down, it's because, for one thing, the trees interfere with the transmission between the small cells for 5G. And this is so bad in New Zealand that it was ruled someone had to cut their tree down in their yard because it was interfering with their neighbor's wireless. This is what happens where the people don't have any standing or any say anymore. Right. Australia is another really bad place where the people don't have much power left in voice left. So they're taking trees down, partly because they're in the way, but then also because people will be able to see that it kills the trees. We have 5G started up here on April 3rd. It started at the Mall of America, and actually my fiance went to the Mall of America not knowing, because they didn't announce it for a week. He went there about 4 days later, and he came right home. He said, it felt terrible there today. I had a headache, tight around, and I was dizzy, and I couldn't wait to get out of there. Well, that's because we have good senses, he and I. Neither one of us uses cell phones, and we're very attuned with natural things. But he noticed it right away. The Verizon store has it there, the Elliott Park neighborhood, and then downtown Minneapolis. So that's where 5G is active now. But even so, it's starting at the lower frequencies. It's going to be, if this continues, if the people don't put a stop to this, it's going to take a while to get the 20,000 satellites up and to get it all the way up to like the terahertz, which people will be dying right and left by then anyway.
Right.
So.
Well, and along with the trees, that means the reason they have to take down the trees is because that signal's so short. For one thing, it can't get through the trees, and the trees are blocking it, and not really blocking it, but absorbing it.
They are.
And that's what kills them. So they take down the trees so they can put up more towers so that you can get that signal blocks instead of miles, right?
Yes, but it's all a big experiment, and they don't even know what they're doing.
Well, they don't even know the health risks involved.
No.
They refuse to test it.
They don't even know how it's going to work. This is theoretical. And the engineers know nothing about cellular biology. And unfortunately, our doctors don't know anything about, they haven't been taught anything about these things.
And they're not testing for it.
So we have blind spots everywhere.
Right, and they're not including any kind of health studies and impact studies, even though they have so many already on all of the previous generations.
Oh, yes.
We already have the data, but they just assume that something, how many times stronger is going to be somehow an improvement for us.
And
I don't give a what if my thing doesn't upload as fast as I'd like it to.
People don't feel like they need it. They really don't.
No, it's plenty fast as it is.
And it's not a power density issue. When you said stronger, it's not a power density, it's a frequency. It's the modulation and, So it's not like it's a harder power. It's actually even kind of more subtle. But since it goes right through the body, we expect problems with people's eyes, which we already have with what we've got, and the skin and
the memory and the illnesses and everything else. What else can we talk about with it? Because there's so much. I know we could probably do 2 entire shows if we did a super deep dive. You want to talk about some of the other intriguing things in the last just couple minutes we have here. Let's go a little deeper into the. Well, if we go a little deeper, it'll take too long. But where can people go and find more information? I know you have got a Facebook page.
I have a Facebook group.
Yes, a group. Yep. A good one, too.
We really get the best information in there. And then also on my website, I didn't intend to, but within just the last few months, I've got quite an area dedicated to that, where people can find studies that have been done all over the world. They can find some of the best information, in the Facebook group and on my website. But, this is really coming out. People are really talking about it, starting to. And so if you do searches, you're going to find a lot. It's not too hard. But I would just say that this is also going to separate, like the fake information from the real.
Yeah.
You know, this is not a matter of put your light around you and you're fine.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the organite. No, you know.
Yeah.
This is all of us and our relationship with nature, not just ourselves.
Yeah, it's like I read one thing about, well, you can use this paint or like a shungite-based paint and paint your house.
Yeah.
Well, that's perfectly fine for in your house, and it's not even going to be that effective for this. But what about everything else outside your house?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. Right,
and I'm like you. I love the animals. I love to stand out there and take it all in and listen to the birds and be one with nature.
They're so precious. They're so precious.
Well, yeah, and I just you know, it's the greed of this corporate greed, and there's so many people that are working together to do this, like through the FCC and blindlessly and
senselessly,
and so there's a little something about the FCC has like stopped people from even being able to investigate it.
They have tried to seize power in an unprecedented manner, and it's got to be stopped.
Actually, have
at the paper empire level, yes.
Yeah.
But you know, we the people on the ground, we are the power, and we've got to get together, and we've got to stand up on this issue.
Okay. We are going to stand up. I'm standing here strong with you, my dear, okay? I make a pact for that.
Yes.
We're standing strong. In the last minutes here, I'm just going to say you can find on hunavaruna.net.
Yep, .net. And there's a Facebook group link at the bottom of the EMF page.
Okay, the EMF link at the bottom is the 5G group. And we got about 18 seconds here, and I'm just going to sign us out and say thank you, Rockets. I'm going to continue to talk about this.
Pleasure, thank you.
And thank you for keeping it real and keeping it, you know, keeping everybody honest on this planet. That's all for today. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.